Welcome to Echoes of Time. In today's episode, we dive deep into the ancient tides of history to witness a legendary clash that reshaped the destiny of the Mediterranean. Two great powers, two visions of civilization, two worlds on a collision course. On one side, the mighty Roman Republic, disciplined, relentless, expanding. On the other, Carthage, wealthy, brilliant, born from the sea. But this isn't just the story of an empire. It's the story of a vow. A young boy, standing before his father, swearing eternal hatred to Rome. His name was Hannibal, and that oath would ignite a fire powerful enough to shake the world. But before that fire, there were winds, and those winds began in Phoenicia. Carthage's roots stretch back to the ancient Phoenicians, master sailors, bold merchants, and pioneers of written language. From the coasts of what is now Lebanon, they sailed westward, conquering not with swords, but with silver, spice, and sail. They built a network of colonies across the Mediterranean, from Cyprus to Spain, Malta to Sardinia, and then, on the fertile coast of North Africa, they founded a new city, Carthage, the new city that we know it as Carthage. It began as a colony, but it would become an empire. By the 8th century before Christ, Carthage had broken free from the Eastern shadow. It now forged its own path, commanding trade, commanding the seas, and challenging any who stood in its way. This was a civilization built not only on power, but on precision. Its harbors were marvels of design, curved like a crescent moon, with private docks for its powerful navy. It was a city of temples, councils, and towering structures, all centered around its most precious resource, the sea. But Carthage wasn't a monarchy. It was an aristocratic republic. Power rested in the hands of noble families and elite merchants. Politics wasn't a matter of law. It was a battlefield of wealth and influence. And this, more than anything, set Carthage on a path completely unlike its rival across the sea. Rome at the same time, across the sea. Another power was rising on the Italian peninsula. Rome by the 6th century before Christ. Rome had freed itself from Etruscan rule, with powerful assemblies and deep-rooted laws. The Roman Republic was built on discipline, loyalty, and order. At first, Rome saw Carthage only as a trade partner, but as both expanded, they found themselves chasing the same prize, control of the Mediterranean. Tension grew. Rivalry replaced cooperation, and the sparks of conflict first appeared in Sicily. Rome's influence began growing on the island, but Carthage had long viewed Sicily as vital to its interests. It controlled key trade routes, and its ports offered strategic value in any war. When Roman presence increased, Carthage couldn't ignore it. The first conflict didn't begin with armies, but with mercenaries. A group called the Mamertines had seized the city of Messana. When Carthage threatened them, they turned to Rome for help. The Roman Senate debated. Should they respond? Aiding the Mamertines meant war with Carthage, but it also offered Rome a foothold in Sicily. In the end, Rome answered the call, and the world changed forever. The First Punic War had begun. The year was 264 before Christ. Roman and Carthaginian forces clashed on the soil of Sicily. What followed was a war unlike anything the world had seen. It would last 23 years, the longest and most brutal naval conflict of the ancient world. Carthage had the advantage. Its navy was unmatched, a fleet of triremes and warships that ruled the sea for generations. Rome, on the other hand, had no experience at sea. They were a land power, not sailors. But what Rome lacked in experience, they made up for in engineering and adaptability. They captured a Carthaginian warship, took it apart, studied every detail, and built their own versions, faster, stronger, and more suited to Roman tactics. Then came the game changer, a simple yet deadly invention, the corvus. It was a wooden boarding bridge with spikes. When enemy ships approached, the Romans would drop the corvus, locking the two ships together. Then Roman soldiers would storm across, turning sea battles into hand-to-hand combat, where Rome thrived. Carthage was stunned. Their naval dominance meant little when Roman soldiers fought them face to face on the decks of their own ships. Battle after battle, the Mediterranean turned red with blood. The war raged for 23 long years. Victory shifted hands countless times. Armies advanced, retreated, regrouped, and returned. But in the end, Rome endured. In 241 before Christ, off the coast of Sicily, Rome struck a final, crushing blow. The Carthaginian fleet was destroyed. Their navy, once dominant, was shattered, and their economy drained beyond repair. Carthage had no choice. They signed a treaty. They surrendered Sicily, and they agreed to pay Rome a massive war indemnity. The Mediterranean, once ruled by Carthage, now belonged to Rome. But peace brought no closure. In Carthage, defeat didn't end the war. It fueled a deeper fire. For one man, the loss was personal. Hannibal Barca, Carthage's war hero, had not given up. He saw Rome not just as a rival, but as a sworn enemy. And so, he took his son to the mountains. There, before the gods, he made the boy swear a sacred oath. Rome will always be your enemy. You must never forget. And the boy, looking into his father's eyes, swore. His name was Hannibal. After the war, Carthage was weak. Its navy was gone. Its economy was broken. Its people were tired. But Hannibal Barca had not surrendered. He turned his eyes west, to the untamed lands of Hispania. There, he saw a new beginning. Rich mines, fierce warriors, and deep harbors. He would build a new Carthage. He didn't go alone. He brought his young son, Hannibal, just 9 years old. But in his eyes burned a fire, a promise, a future. In Spain, Hamilcar made alliances, fought local tribes, and built a powerful army. Soon, Carthage ruled large parts of Hispania, and Hannibal was learning. He rode horses. He studied war maps. He trained with soldiers. And above all, he waited. He was the living symbol of patience. And one day, that patience would become war. Years passed. Hamilcar died in battle. His son-in-law took command, but he too was assassinated. Now, all eyes turned to Hannibal. He was young, but fearless, smart, respected by soldiers and loved by the people. The Carthaginian Senate made him commander, and everyone knew Rome was in trouble. Hannibal's first target was clear, a city allied with Rome, but outside its borders. Saguntum. Attacking it would mean war. But Hannibal didn't hesitate. He laid siege to the city. It lasted for months. The people resisted. But Hannibal's army was experienced and well supplied. In the end, the walls fell. Saguntum burned. News reached Rome, and the Senate was divided. Some warned against war. Others demanded action. In the end, Rome responded the only way it could, with legions. The Second Punic War had begun, but Hannibal had no plans to wait. He would not face Rome in Sicily. He would not fight by sea. He would strike where no one dared, by land, through the mountains, straight into the heart of Italy. A plan so bold, so impossible, that no Roman could believe it. But Hannibal believed, and he marched. With 38,000 infantry, 9,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants. He crossed the Ebro River, then the Pyrenees. Through enemy tribes and brutal terrain, his army kept moving, and then came the impossible, the Alps. Massive, frozen, deadly. Rome said they couldn't be crossed. Hannibal proved them wrong. The Alps were cruel. Snow, ice, avalanches, hostile tribes, starvation. Every step was a battle. Hannibal's men froze. His elephants slipped. His supplies ran low. But he pushed forward. When they finally reached the valleys of Italy, only half the army had survived. But Hannibal had done the impossible. He had brought war to Rome's doorstep. The Roman generals were stunned. No one expected this. It was madness, but it was genius. Hannibal didn't just bring soldiers. He brought vengeance, strategy, and an oath carved in fire. He would not fight Rome from afar. He would bleed it from within. And so began one of the most legendary campaigns in military history. But this was only the beginning. In Carthage Wars, Part 2, we will follow Hannibal's brutal victories at Trebia, Trasimene, and Cannae. We'll see how Rome nearly lost everything, and how, in the end, the tides of war turned. Subscribe to Echoes of Time. Like the video. Share your thoughts in the comments, because this channel doesn't just tell history, it pulls you into it. Thank you for watching, and stay with us as the war rages on.